SwimNinja.com here with Chesterbrook head coach Katherine Stuver. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. Lovely morning here.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting ready to go into week one.
We are.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your swimming and coaching background, if you would?
Yeah. So I grew up in Virginia. I swam right down the street for NVSL, but before that, I was living in Reston. I swam for the North Hills Hurricanes in RSTA. Started swimming there, loved it. My parents were like, "Oh, okay." Went to Tuckahoe, swam the USS thing, swam all through college, went to Franklin and Marshall, stuck with Tuckahoe and came back and coached for them for about 9 years.
Oh.
And then made kind of jumped ship and came over here and worked with the developmental program here. And now I'm the head coach.
Okay. And this is your third year as the head coach?
Third year as head coach, and I did 1 year as the developmental head coach.
Okay. So break down a little bit for us what's special about coaching at this pool.
So I think every pool in the NVSL and what makes swimming great, especially in this area, is that everybody's so into their team and their pool. Having the pleasure of working at Tuckahoe and swimming for Tuckahoe for such a long time, I knew what made them great and what kept me coming back. But when I came over here, completely different environment, all good, everything's really family oriented. So you really, when you walk through the door, you just have this moment of like, oh, something new to get. I think that it's a very, as you can see, we're sitting on a lower pump house that's kind of not so good. It's a little homegrown of a pool, a little backyard, and I think that everyone takes pride in whatever is here. Their teammates, whoever walks through the door, new teammates, new head coaches. It's kind of a very welcoming environment and kind of let's show you the ropes and what new things can you bring to the team. So I think that it's a pretty collaborative environment and pretty inviting, and a lot of just very genuinely fun, low-key kind of community building things that go on here.
Tell me a little bit about some of the fun things that go on throughout the summer, maybe away from the pool, that you've enjoyed taking part in here.
Yeah, so I think a lot of pools do a progressive senior dinner. Chesterbrook does one as well. One thing I really love about this team is that, though that is just for our seniors and it's kind of this celebratory, kind of almost team bonding mid-season for our 13 and overs, that evening ends walking through the pool deck, so kind of coming home.
Right.
And it's the family luau, so the older kids come in, all the little kids are looking at them, and it's kind of this moment of, the first time I walked through the door, I was like, oh wow, this is really great. So there's community members from the pool, and also a bunch of swim team families come and kind of clap everybody in and take some pictures, and then we just dance the night away. So I think that's a great thing that Chesterbrook has going on. The pasta parties here are always a good time. We have activities beforehand that allow the seniors and the younger kids to kind of collaborate and work together, and the coaches to have a good time and be goofballs. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess then tell me a little bit about some of the benefits of being at a competitive pool that's had a lot of success over the past few years and being on deck with your team.
I think win or lose, this team is pretty magical. Let's see. I mean, it really is something that everybody says, I feel like you just have to experience. My coaching staff, except for me, everyone has swum and kind of gone through the system here. So it's kind of a great team where I'm kind of an outsider perspective, but we are able to work together and come up with really fun and new things, as well as keep the old for the swimmers. In terms of the competitive side, I really think that a shift for our coaching staff and for the swimmers is really just to do things with intention. So it's it can be a lot of pressure to be a good team. It can be a lot of pressure to put on yourself, to put on the coaching staff, to put and carry for a long time. And I think a strong intention from our staff and from our swimmers too, starting with the seniors going down, is really, we're here for each other. We're putting the work in. Let's just get in and do our job. And I think it's just the coach's job to really make sure that roadmap is there and just let them go.
So as a coach, it's got to be enjoyable when you have a really big team with definitely a lot of very good swimmers to kind of come in and work with for a few months over the summer. How does that help as a coach, I guess, work with the rest of the team, everybody else that's on the team the rest of the season?
So we have a big group of swimmers who swim year-round and are very competitive, and then we have swimmers who are starting off as it's their first season ever swimming, and that's not just our 8 and unders or our developmental program. It's kids all the way up to our 13 and over practice, just saying, you know what, I saw this happening. It looks really cool. Can I give it a try? I think that the merit of having leaders in the water is an awesome opportunity. So seeing people work really hard at practice, come in with this awesome stroke technique, or hey, like, coaches, can we work on, this drill that we were doing in practice? It really landed for me and it changed my turns. That's a great thing in the water. And then we also, regardless of speed or what they're doing over the winter, we also have a crew that's just kind of there for the team. So building that team aspect of Chesterbrook.
That's great. I think you touched on this a little bit in what you were talking about before. Help us understand, Chesterbrook has a developmental swim program. And what's the difference between your developmental team and maybe your competition team?
So we do have 2 pools, and we have practice times that run kind of similar. Our developmental program is a great opportunity for our newer swimmers, our younger swimmers.
Sure.
So it's kind of like our feeder into our kind of lower pool that we have down here. But it's definitely kind of a 2 pools, 1 team mentality, in that, yes, you're part of the developmental team. You're working on those fundamental stroke techniques, getting breaststroke down, flip turns, and racing dives, just getting used to being a swimmer, putting on a cap, having fun at a bee meet, not losing your card. And then, one of the best things about, the practices here and kind of the team, 2 pools, 1 team mentality, is when a kid from the upper pool really has the opportunity to come shine in the lower pool. So we kind of celebrate that walk down in their first practice. And, that kind of make it seamless so that, come down to the lower pool is celebrated, but everybody's part of the team.
And have you found, and you got the opportunity to be the head coach of that team and before moving to this, have you seen that transition for both swimmers as well as coaches in just progressing into their role with this team?
Yeah, I think that our Little Jaws program really provides an opportunity for whole team involvement. So it's gathering new kids and getting them hooked on what makes Chesterbrook great, getting them hooked on swimming.
Sure.
It also provides a huge opportunity for a lot of our senior swimmers and beyond to take a leadership role as a head coach. Megan is doing a great job with Sabrina this year, kind of heading up that program, both homegrown Chesterbrook swimmers. And I think just seeing that contingency all the way through and giving, the newer senior coaches that opportunity of yeah, I know what I'm doing in the water. Yeah, I know what I'm doing when I come to a pasta party, and giving them the opportunity to be yeah, these kids don't know, and teach them and kind of show them what made you hooked and made you stay on so long. So it's really great to see.
That's awesome. I was going to move now to ask you a little bit about some of the competitive outlook for Chesterbrook. I don't know if you've seen our preseason also Ninja list. There's a number of Chesterbrook Tiger Sharks that are in there. Can you help, without giving away everything, shed some light on some of your strong suits you think you have going into this season?
Every season, I from Tuckahoe and beyond, it's is it a down year? Is it an up year? Every year here surprises me. So I don't think necessarily there's anything that needs to be filled. I think that people throughout the season will rise to the occasion in whatever aspect they're asked to. It's kind of this magical pool deck and pool that we have behind us. I know that there is different focuses throughout each practice based on kind of the swimmers we have each year and each season. So really, I think as a whole, I can't say one thing over the other. I think just as a team, we're looking strong, and I think there's definitely room to grow.
Okay. And with that, are there any hopes that you have for how the team performs? And that can be both competitively as well as non-competitively.
Oh yeah, I think every season, the coaches and the seniors, we always kind of set off the season, kick it off with kind of where we want to be and celebrate what went really well last year, have an honest, open conversation about what could we do better. And I think that just keeping on, making it a place that people keep wanting to come back to. And when you walk through the door, I know the first afternoon seasons, I'm coming straight from the classroom. I walk through the door and it's kind of this yeah, I want to be here. And I feel like that's just something that every swimmer kind of holds. And I think just doing things from a coaching standpoint, from a swimmer standpoint, from a senior leadership standpoint, continuing to kind of ooze that. And if we're losing it, what can we do to kind of spark that fire again?
Okay. My last question for you then is, we know that you got married into a pretty big Chesterbrook family, and especially since you're coming from another pool as well. How has that transition been? Were there any nerves or expectations in filling some big shoes there?
It's the Stuver family is a long-standing Chesterbrook family, and my sister-in-law is down on deck coaching 8 and unders right now. So it's in addition to being a Chesterbrook family, it actually is my family.
Yep.
So it's been great. I don't feel in terms of pressure of filling shoes. I think every coach, and a great thing and perspective at least I take, is that everybody has their different shoes to fill, and that's put on by the coach themselves. So.
Right. Well, and your husband Colin was the head coach here for a while as well. Is there ever any backseat coaching where he's like, well, maybe you should have done this in the meet sheet, or are you thinking about doing this in practice?
He's a good pair of, editing eyes or just overseeing or having the conversation, but I really have a strong coaching staff, and he's doing a very good job kind of not being a backseat driver in any means. He's kind of almost the front seat driver, literally getting me to the meet because it's an exhausting summer. So I think he's just more of a cheerleader for the team, and is more than happy to see everybody have a good time. So. Well,
we're looking forward to seeing you guys compete this weekend. We're going to be at your Highlands meet tomorrow.
Hopefully it'll be better than this.
Yeah, hopefully. And then we'll be back here for Division I Relay Carnival.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll see you a number of times throughout the season.
Absolutely.
So best of luck, and thank you for sitting with us.
Absolutely.